So,
That's different.
yeah, so just with this, just to let you know, and then the internal one. So since this is done by electricity and not on gas, so you want to fill up the water, make sure that you use,
To the
and
line.
you really want to use DI or still water,
Okay.
and just make sure that it's up to the fill line on it.
Okay.
And then this is just going to sit down on top of this rack. You do have an internal thing here, it just sits, and that's just to keep your flask or whatever you're making your media in from setting directly on the bottom of this. And then it's got like a shaft thing here inside of it that you want to make sure that this tube slides down inside of that. Okay. So the air on this is going to match up with this here with it, but then most of the time you want to, it's got a hook here, it's going to latch over the edge of that. And then the only thing you want to do is just pull these up and tighten them down. And make sure you tighten them down. Once it gets up and gets to boiling on it, so your pressure is not going to, it's like I say with a pressure cooker, where you have that steam coming out and then you put the thing on top of it before your pressure comes up. This is basically the same thing. So you really want this opened up here to begin with on it to get it started. And then once you get steam coming out of it, you can let it go for about 5 minutes, and then you just want to flip that over. So what that does then, it closes us off to let it.
Fine, I don't think I'm following you. We autoclave at 100, centigrade.
Yeah, so it's 120.
And then,
15 minutes
So
and then-
once,
in the green.
so this is going to be your temp thing here on it. It just, increases your temp and stuff on it. Generally like to start out with it just in the center to get started with it. This is just a timer. It's just a regular old timer on it, just like your kitchen timer. It's not connected to any switch or anything for it to automatically cut off or anything. You still got to manually flip your switch on and off with it.
is there an instruction sheet
there's a
with
book
this?
in here.
With it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're all,
For 240 volts.
Yeah.
Which is what most of your African countries and stuff have. It will either, most places will either have what we call a Shuko plug on it, or they'll have a European type plug, which is another 3-prong thing on it. So one of the things that we do before we go in anywhere is to find out what type of plug and stuff we have before we send any equipment in. And then we also, because if the instruments and stuff that we're sending, if you cannot, if it's only for 110, like American, our plugs that we have here, what we have to do is make sure we send a transformer in with it, which will convert it to the correct voltage. This one, which I've actually used here to make media and stuff with, this one will stay pretty steady. Once you start turning it down and get to the right temp, it will keep it there. The one we had in Capsware, we had to continually keep moving it back and forth to keep it in that. So unfortunately with it, we had to watch it pretty close because we did blow it one time.
They can practice taking was interpreting the rhythm and tell me what it is. But this is different parts of an EKG machine that might go wrong. First off, I always would check the EKG leads, the wires. So they might be unplugged, they might be frayed. These get obviously twisted and tangled quite often, so they can get bent and twisted and pinched and ruin the wires. And so these might have to be replaced altogether.
Consumables.
They are supposed to be reused over and over again, but eventually they will wear out from daily use and stuff. But these machines are pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot to them. The big thing that we'll see is that they're going to complain about it's not printing right, or like I've heard people say it's out of ink. There's no ink cartridges in these. It uses thermal paper. Yeah. So on your I don't know what to call it, instructional sheet is the point I want to talk about now. There's a this right here. This roller is what's basically gonna heat up and create the lines on the piece of paper. If that gets dirty, dusty, oxidized, or whatever, humid, it's gonna build up and it won't be able to transfer the heat to the paper appropriately. So we just take, I don't have one, but pretend this is a alcohol swab. Just take a simple alcohol swab and well, I can't turn this in. There we go. And just keep running it over, kind of just knocking off whatever dust or buildup is on there. But if you read on the paper, what does it say? Read that for me. Let it dry absolutely completely, like 10 minutes or more, because if you get this thing wet with alcohol and then try and run it, it can ruin the thermal strip for good, and then you have to basically throw it out.
You
The
don't
strip.
go through the paper a
Maybe.
bit. Yeah.
So, that's a big point. If you might have to do that, it's easy fix, but you just gotta make sure that it's dry completely. Now, I've tested before where I've just taken and wiped it with alcohol swab and then wiped it with a 4x4, cleaned it real quick because I had to hurry, and it did fine. I just let it sit for 3 or 4 minutes after, but wiped all the residual off, and it did fine. So just the big thing is to let it dry completely before you print another paper. But this is where paper goes. In our hospitals, they don't always have access to the consistent suppliers or the same suppliers we do here. So one place I've seen this bought from is Amazon, which is awesome. It's easy, but not everybody has that. They might try and use paper that is from wherever they can get it from, or where it's donated from, or think it might work. But unfortunately, EKG paper is proprietary to the brand and model. So not everybody, not just a sheet of EKG paper will work with the MAC 1600. So EKG paper has to be specific to the brand and model, and it's going to be differentiate with the orientation mark. Some might have a little black strip that's on here. Some might have a hole like this. Some might have a circle. It's different for every brand. Some will share, the paper type, but not all. So that's something that we might have to look into, is just look at the manual. There should be a manual. Anyone that we supply, we put a manual with. So it should be in the manual to say which kind of paper. So if you find that the kind of paper they're using isn't the one that is supposed to go with that machine, letting it die completely, charging it again up to full, and see if that fixes it. It might have just been where the battery got its full level kind of orientation off, or the battery's gone bad and it won't work, in which case you just unplug it and see if it dies really quickly, and you'll know. The batteries can be replaced, so that's something like you could report back to us and we might be able to supply battery, or tell them they need to find a battery for the EKG machine that's bad. But more than often not, you can just plug them up and say, well, until we get that fixed, just keep it plugged up while you want to run an EKG machine, and then unplug it when you're done, or just put it away to store it. Just make sure you plug it up, and then it's fine. It doesn't have to have a battery, but that's a common problem. Usually when we do an EKG, get these in, we just go ahead and replace the battery, and all of them, no matter what, because usually we don't know how old they are.
Say this microscope, even Greg has wired up in several places, so this is what we do for that. So as Greg mentioned, the centrifuges that you will find, some of them are rusted all the way around the bottom. You can see I painted this one at one point thinking we might have to send it. You'll find them almost rusted through in some of our hospitals. I mean, literally holes rusted through. So it's pretty amazing to me that they use what they do. But the operator's guide is in every one that we send. So if we send them, even if it's not with it when we get it, we search the internet till we find one as close to it as we can and send that with it. And it will tell you what the RPM should be for that one. Commonly, as Greg has shared with me, it should be between 3,000 and 4,000. So somewhere around 3,500 RPMs per minute is what we're hoping for. Obviously, hematocrit machines, everybody's done a spun hematocrit, I'm sure. So those are 45, I think, but it's in the manual, and it'll be according to that, because the speed's much faster. But a lot of the times when we go into the hospitals again, they talk about the blood's always hemolyzed, or, you know, it's got a clot and it done the machine, and we're trying to explain to them that their centrifuges are no longer working at the correct RPM, and that they will need to add, if we don't have one with us, we tell them instead of 15 minutes, you're going to need to do 20 to 30 minutes for good separation, the time. So that's what we'll see. But we will check it for them while we're there. They hope, we hope that their biomed department would do that for them, but they don't always. You know, they don't know how. So the meter will find this spot. So every time it goes around, it's programmed to do that. This one, so you just put it on the center wheel. Quite often, because the newer ones with safety equipment to it has a hole or the clear spot. If you've ever noticed the clear, and that's so you can check the RPMs.
Okay.
I'm probably going to have to hold this thing down. So it's as simple as letting it come to its full speed. And then so 33. So if it stopped, but you can see how 3,000 and 4,000 are as close to your manual of what the manual should be.
Okay.
And then have water filtrations or deionizers. Like we just left Latane and they had one hooked to the chemistry analyzer.
Yep.
But we tested the water and it was not working well. It was better than water out of the spigot, but the mineral content was still too high. Greg and I both stood with him and explained he'd done it first thing to flush it first, you know, to let it go through that system and let it flush before we fed it, because it went straight into the analyzer.
So to show them the meter, we can use the stir water and out of the spigot.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And then pour it back in.
Right. So it's here we go.
Take the lid
So
off
the
the-
probes that we stick in are sense the minerals in the water. So DI or sink water.
I don't think you have to hold it, do you?
And then, so 80, let me see what the measurement is again.
So the probes actually go into the water? Or
They
no?
do.
It's got
They do,
two little
okay.
probes
Right into
in
the
it.
water.
All right.
Yeah.
This one's Joe's
Okay.
reading across.
Okay.
And Greg, what's the units?
I don't remember
Is it
what the
parts per
units
million
are,
or something like that?
Yep.
but you're reading 80 anyway.
80's
Is it
not
got
good.
on the side?
It is. And I
Yeah, I don't
Is it
remember what that says.
think
Got micro S. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but anyway.
I know you want as close to zero as you can get. Let me see, Greg, and I'll hold it and let you see if you can you read the.
Yeah, it's 80.
80. But I mean, the units of measure, is it
Yeah.
parts per million?
Well, no, it's got this, the micro something S. on it.
Microgram?
It says micro S on it. I'm not sure what.
Does anybody know what
S
micro S is?
I'll have to look it up.
We'll have to look.
That didn't make sense though.
No.
Micro S is microseconds. but
So
it's-
as close to zero, the water in Latane was 60 out of the deionizers.
Yeah.
But then after Greg had it, had him flush it and pushed it through, it was down to 39 or 40, but it did help. So that's better than what we were getting out of this.
Okay.
So then, zero. So you see the
Okay,
zero
yeah.
of,
Now, what would be acceptable?
10 or less.
we asked,
They couldn't
It's okay to
make their
use-
media anymore
I mean,
or
it's
anything.
okay to use the tap water as long as you clean it out and you don't have to go through and scrub it out every once.
this is the filters. We keep these in stock. We usually take these with us. They're about $300. Greg? $2.98. Well, you found them cheaper from Labstrong.
Right.
So,
I don't remember what they are.
yeah, I don't remember it too, but, so, and again, some of our time is spent trying to find, we try to find companies. Labstrong works with us and charges us no shipping, so sounds like we'll take anything they give
Sure,
us.
yeah.
And
What's neat with that?
well, says, as she said, they think the water needs to go in the top. It does not. It is a filtration that has to go up through the yes. So it's sand, it's carbon, it's all those things that takes the carbon, that takes minerals out of the water, the carbon. So you put the jerry can hot, you fill it right out of their spigot. I usually set it as on the counter that they have above, and the jerry can is even here. So you would fill it from the big hole in the top here.
Okay.
Yeah, right out of the spigot.
Okay.
And then we hook this to the
Okay.
tubing
Oh, okay.
that Greg has here. And so, and we cut it to the length that they need it on the cabinet.
Okay.
So the jerry can full of undeionized water, just plain tap water, would be high.
Okay.
The tubing would be hooked to feed it into the bottom.
Okay.
Again, but
So,
when
so this air means your flow of your water also.
Okay.
Then
So
we-
is there like a tip on the bottom?
tip on the
Okay.
bottom.
All right.
And is there an arrow on this, or you just
The Fisher Scientific, yes.
On this, flow up.
flow up? Yes, okay.
But
It's
these,
confusing. You would think it would go the other way.
Right.
And maybe the label. Hopefully, the label is always
oh wait, yeah.
on
it should
correctly.
be.
Yeah.
But if we, hey Dave, it's in the, I
Stop
suppose we do.
cock.
You've actually got the stop cock on this. So if you need to cut it off from the top, you just, shut it off.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
And then
But
you just keep refilling that.
Yeah,
Okay,
just keep
yeah,
refilling
okay.
this.
And we carry the jerry can with us, and we carry this with us and this with us.
Okay.
We tried to order this, and this is not, does
It's
not.
not
Sure, and
really
tell them not to drink the
desalinate
water. It can mess with their electrolytes.
Now that big one out there will.
Here.
It is fancier. It's actually,
Oh, sorry.
so it is called semi-automated, meaning there's still some manual testing for it. It is still used in backup for most, and sometimes primary. El Salvador still uses it as their primary. They're a day clinic. But those techs that use it every day are phenomenal because they can do it just as fast as we can do anything else. So as you can see, you've got settings. You can go in and actually tell it to do a flow cell, which means we would set something here and it just uses a cell that goes over and over. Greg and I use tube only. It's the 12 by 75 tubes that we moved somewhere else, but it's your cross-match tubes. You remember what those are, your little 12 by 75 tubes that are here, Greg?
The other one.
This one? Okay, no, that's pip kit stuff. I think they're over there. Look on the underneath, Greg. I think it's underneath the test with it. And you have to mix everything that you do, but you can do almost any basic chemistry. The one I have here is creatinine. So it's 2-part reagent. You remember your old yellow picric acid, that's exactly what it is. So you would do 1 part picric acid and 1 part of your second buffer. So it's just a mixture, and you mix that up. The instructions are right back here on simple, and we leave this with them. We try to make it as simple as possible. So prepare your working solution with the test reagent. Again, creatinine, alkaline phos, all your liver enzymes. You can do electrolytes. We do not recommend it. They're very tedious, very potassium takes a vortex, and if it's not vortexed exactly and measured within less than 30 seconds, it's invalid. So we really stress, and you'll see this when Greg does this, to let us move you up one level because they're just really, really hard to read. I found one tech in Haiti that can do it well, but she's been doing it for 10 years. So you would mix, you incubate 3 to 5 minutes in the heat block. Your old StatFaxes had the heat block separate, so you had to plug your heat block in a separate thing
What's the
than this.
temperature for the heat block?
37. 30.
So
30.
we're not 100 at autotoleuidine for glucose.
Yeah, no.
It's 37
Okay.
degrees.
And then from the home screen, select run test. So we're going to go back home. You would run a test if you chose creatinine. And Greg and I have, and these are come empty. You have to program them yourself. So you would name a test, and all of this is on the back too, is simple. So that's why I don't want to go through it with you. It's very detailed. It takes a good day and a half to put everything in together and calibrate. But when you go with us, we will be doing this for some of the, especially if we set up a new one, a brand new one. So we would take the test that they request. We ask them to start with a small menu first, especially clinics that are just doing day work. So as simple as a Chem 7, don't add your livers and everything till you get comfortable with this. And I think Delight shared with you, with the nurse, we asked them, add one test at a time until she's comfortable. Don't ask for, till they're, so that, and we stress that to look after the tech. The kits that you, again, run test, select the test to run from the stored test, but remember they're only stored because you created them.
Okay.
So it's empty, but it walks you completely through it, the machine, and that's why it's now semi-automated, because the new one is programmed to walk you right through it. And it says print header. You can say yes or no. We tell them print it once a week, just so you remember if you need to, but it wastes their paper. And believe it or not, we carry in 10 to 20 rolls of paper, but we tell them don't waste your paper for the header.
Okay.
So I would say no. And again, there's the standard, use standard blank. So you've already done your blank, as you remember, in the standard. And if your test is still running well, you can use it as long as you're getting controls in. So these are things, that's how simple it is. Some of them will use the standard for 6 months or a year or more. Then after, if need, read a blank. You do need to use DI water if you're running a blank in these, because it, do what?
Some of them is a reagent blank.
Yes.
It will tell you.
Okay.
And it will tell you in the package insert. And like picric acid, I think is a reagent blank because it wants to know what the picric looks like.
Yeah.
So if you would read the blank, let me say yes. And here's your curve. So and that's stored in that. And it stores that, says, okay, I know what a blank is.
How often do you have to do a curve?
Only when the QC is out.
Only when, so
Or
you
you
do it,
see a trend
you do it once, for a lot, once per lot.
once per lot.
Set your curve, it's in there, then it's always there, and only if your QC's out or you see a trend.
Or you
Then-
see a
Then
trend.
you make a new curve
Right,
Okay.
right.
with standards.
Or with standards.
So
And
it resets.
some of the reagents, and see, again, the reason this is used is because there are many companies that make these chemical reagents. StanBio makes them. Point Diagnostics makes them. In Africa, Cortez, thank you, Greg. Cortez makes them. And so it's whatever that's in their country. And we try to say, what can you get? What can you get? And so we try, we will program whatever test kit they have. It comes again with your standard with it sometimes. Once in a while, it will tell you if it's lipids. One standard would work for all your lipids, and that. So but most of them come with its own standard. And there's a spot when you program it that says enter your standard. And you can see that right on the back. I don't want it 47 because it will walk you. So this is why it would have taken your whole day. So, but we will walk you through this. We would do it together, how to program that test. And the package insert actually tells you which filter If you remember, it's through your filters that, or which wavelength to read it through. So all of that is with the manual testing, which will tell you which filter, and you would program it. So you just go in and program according to the package insert. My wise friend over there took this test kit.
Where?
And he programmed all of this for the automated, as you can, analyzer. And so he's now put it on that one so that we're ready to do that. So we put it into the brain of that computer and can run the computer. So this little handheld that they do by hand here is actually the guts that's inside the automated. So it can use, so this is the only open-ended systems that we've been able to find. A spec, and some of them, StatFax is who does for us in your part of the world. They're the people that produce these. But other countries have them and they're basic specs. Human makes one. EFK, is it EFK? Oh, EKF. EKF. They make one. So, but they all are the same. Their wavelength, your wheel with your wavelengths on it, and your spec. It's a spec that has a little bit of a brain that you can program. But we've seen labs that do full panels on them. You know, they'll batch and do.
No, I was just gonna say, what basically makes that as a semi-automated is because where it keeps your control, graph in there and stuff, where it extrapolates everything from it. You're not manually doing that.
You're not manually doing
Kind of like you said, and we would just simply and it'll just draw it up, and it goes through this. It does the same measurement, but it's over and over.
And then likewise with that, then you got to make sure you attach your waste container to it.
Right.
Yeah,
Or you just want to
okay.
just get it out on the back of the counter.
Oh gosh.
So the flow cells,
Hematology analyzer, which will give you the 3-part diff on it. About like a lot of the initial cultures did. And it does the diff the same way that the culture did with them. Of course, it's all touch screen with it.
nice.
So within measurement, of course, you're just going to be doing your, if you have doing your CBC part with it.
Does it do a diff?
It does a 3-part
Three-part?
diff. So it will give you your, it breaks it down into your grands, your mids, and then the lymphocytes.
Okay.
So a lot of your monos and stuff may be within the grands.
I can't see that. Grands, lymphs.
It does
and
grands, mid, and lymphocytes.
Mid.
Yeah, mid. So your mid-size
Oh, okay.
white cells, which is going to be basically your eosinophils and your
Bezos.
ESOs.
You.
Or EOs, yeah. It will give you, I thought it gave, yeah, it gives you percentage and also absolute counts for those. Of course, your MCH, MCHC with all your indices, your hemoglobin, hematocrit. It does give you a RDW. I'm not sure exactly what the RDWC is on it, but I think it's concentration because it gives it to you as a percentage also. Some of these are considered also still research type parameters. The PLCC and the PLCR, some type of thing they do with platelets that I'm not sure exactly really what they deal with, but it will just give you your normal ones. It also gives you your scatter plots with it on the side if you want to with it. So just under measurement is going to be anything that you're going to be doing for a new sample or anything with that. Then just back to your main menu. Has your quality control one. Maintenance, of course, is just going to break it down into doing your general cleaning for the day. Your calibration is going to be done under that. Also give you a reagent status on what you have. So currently it's saying that we got 85% diluent. So really there's only three, I know it says four here, well one's waste. Gives you your three reagents such as your diluent, the lice, and your cleaner. So like we said, with the Diatron, Human, the one we seen down in South America, which is Lisa, they basically, this is a Diatron instrument to where they OEM'd them out to like Human and the other companies to where they allow them to put their name on it. So they all basically look the same. This one is a Human count 30. They have an 80, which does a 5-part diff with it. So they're very simple. You can use, these will exchange out depending on the type of tube that you're using on it. These are basically for your 4 ml purple top tubes. You can do the smaller micro containers and stuff on it too. You just have to switch out your aperture thing with it. It has a couple more. You can use a larger one, or these are actually almost like a larger container with them. So these are, like I say, they just slide out and back in for it. They're not cap piercing, so you want to make sure you take the caps off.
Okay.
For your controls and patients with that. Here you can, replace, if you're going to replace any of your reagents, you can just touch the reagent itself and do replace. You can prime all of them at this point. For some reason, if you've been working on it, or if you had shut it all the way down to where we say that you're going to transport it somewhere else or anything, then you can reprime them all at one time. As far as your reagents, they're all color-coded also onto the back of the instrument when you're hooking it up. So you got green goes to green for your diluent, the yellow for lice, your cleaner is going to be the blue, and then your waste is red.
That's pretty med-tech proof.
Yeah, I mean it's fairly simple as far as that goes with it. Your power switch on the back, the USB here for basically is, and then your electrical part is that. This USB goes to the barcode scanner. It does have a barcode scanner with it.
You got a question?
No, I didn't.
So this is your main portion of it. You have all the different valves down here on it. It's going to, opens and close. They're not like the pinch valves like poultry used to have that would always mess up your poke holes and everything. You have them here. You also have them up here, up top. These are the 3 syringes which are making your vacuum and also pulling in your reagents and stuff. The only other pump it has over here is actually the waste pump to pump the waste out. This is your diluting chamber, so it does everything here where it, so you have the sample probe. This is all your diluting chamber, and then this is actually your main aperture that it uses to do the counts for the white cells, the red cells, and also your hemoglobin is all done within this area here. And then it,
Do you have to clean it very often?
this, no, it's very, I did take it out the other day to clean it. All it has is just this metal clamp here on the back of it that pulls up, and then this whole thing just slides out. Because where we don't keep it, since we're not running it every day, most times we just keep it shut down.
10% bleach solution to clean.
That's what we did to open this up here.
Okay.
It does have it states to use an enzymatic cleaner
Okay.
on it daily whenever you start it up or running it. It'll tell you to run an enzymatic cleaner.
Okay.
We just been using a 10% bleach
Okay.
and just run it through. The thing's basically just telling you how many times
Diagnostics.
that you've had diluent primes, lyse primes, the number of measurements that's been done on the instrument since it's been set up, a vacuum error, and your successful startups and shutdowns on it. A self-test mostly just gives you, when you start it, it'll give you your overall, it's got a minimum and maximum values, and then it just checked in most of your electrical components and stuff on it. Anything fails, it's going to flag it here for you. And that'll be a good place to go to if the self-test fails on it, to get back to with customer support to figure out what may be going on with it. The mode, it does have a veterinarian mode on it, so you can change it to that if you want to with it.
Okay.
I wondered about that.
It does have a vet mode. And I think once you change it to a vet mode, you can actually pick whether it's dog, cat,
Or that's cool.
yeah, something like that part of it. The device info just gives you the, like the model is, your serial number, actually the version of the software it has on it, and when it was actually built. And then anything you can export a lot of things to a flash drive if you need to take it to a computer and send to them if you need to.
Is there a flash drive port or
There is on the back.
on the back? Okay. Wow.
This USB port here, well, you can also use it there.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
This USB port is actually this lyse, and for some reason with its lot number, it has what's called a key to it, which has to go into the back. But it also, for some reason, it loads some values through there.
Oh, okay. It just comes with the reagent.
It just comes with your reagent.
Okay.
Come in. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Settings, of course, is where you're going to go in and set up all your, of course, you change your date and time. Communications, basically, if you're going to the LIS, or you can also go in, change the sound on it if you want it to do all of it. So if you want to change this to whatever language you want on it, yeah, let's put it in Vietnamese and no.
Sure.
What you do. So then measurement. I'm not going to run it as a QC site. Well, it'll probably tell me that it needs to do a background count for the
Okay.
date on it. So we go with just new sample. Level 2, I think this is level 2 anyway. No, it says 1. Okay. So if you want to change anything on it, all you have to do is touch here on it, and you can. So of course we're running, it's a human. You can change it to a child or whatever, because then it changes the normal value ranges on it.
Okay.
So anything you can just touch into that field, and then you can change the names or whatever will change depending on if you're running the lithium, calcium, and the pH on it. In most places that we're putting in the instruments on it, we're either doing just sodium potassium or sodium potassium with chloride. In most cases, we haven't gone into doing either lithium or calcium to that. So the big disadvantage to this one, I guess, is there's no on and off switch to it. Plug it up, it turns on. So there's no on and off switch.
I guess you could put it on a power strip and it would
You
have an
could do it that
on.
way and turn it on and off with that.
Good idea.
But as far as, like I say, a general on and off switch, you don't have it.
Unplugging.
So do you just keep
unplug
it plugged in
or
all the time?
either keep it plugged in or, it should be kept plugged in and running all the time. It should be to where it's not, the only time you should unplug it is if you're doing any major maintenance on it, such as changing out your electrodes and stuff for that.
So do keep it running.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what it does is ever so often it will cycle a little bit of the fluid through on it, just to keep your electrodes ready to run. Bless you. So then
Donna,
you just have
brought
your
stuff on a
display.
paper of yours, honey. There, yeah.
The yes and no button on it basically is just a way to answer to change, to go through and change any of your menus. So what it'll do is, once it comes on and gets started, it'll ask you, do you want it to calibrate? You're yes or no with it. If you say no, it'll flip down to another menu telling you, okay, you're ready to run a sample, or if you're wanting to go into a diagnostic mode or whatever with it. So everything is done with yes or no questions with it. Of course, you have your peristaltic pump and the tubing for it. I'm gonna have to, it's right here. Then you have your sampling probe. And then your sampling tube will run from the top of your probe to this is actually your sample detector on the top of it. So depending on which test you're running is to the way that your electrodes are set up. So you're going to have the sample detector, the potassium and your sodium and then chloride or lithium or what other one that you're running. And then you have a reference portion down here with your membrane assembly and stuff attached to that. So basically with this one, we're just going to put on the sodium and potassium electrode.
So these come on and off as you need them.
What do you mean on and off as you need them? You're not going to, once it's set up and start running with it, you're not going to go in and switch it to a different ones
Okay,
with
all
it.
right.
It's good to know, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what,
Yeah, so for this housing and stuff with this one is made to just do the sodium potassium.
that's what you meant, the different
Right, so if-
housings are what you use to change your,
Right, so then if you're doing the one with sodium potassium chloride, it'd have a different housing with it. So basically what it's doing is extending this out some with it. On it. And so the back of it will also tell you the order of how it's set up. So you'll have your basically your sample detector, the potassium, and then the sodium electrode. And then this is where your reference is going to go in at with that. So so you basically build it from the bottom up. So our last bottom one is our sodium. So we just take our sodium electrode. Should have these little sample connectors between them. You've probably seen these on some of your other, if anybody did any of the Nova ones, they have the little ones to go between it.
I didn't.
So all thing this does is just connecting one electrode to the other, making your whole chain with it.
Did you put one on just one end of it, this end? Okay, or both ends?
Well, on this one I did both of them
Okay,
because
okay.
this is the actual end of your
Okay.
train with it. And then you want this metal prong thing that's out
Okay.
on it. So it'll only fit in one way anyway. So if you flip it around, it's not going to
Can't
fit.
go.
Or, if you turn it around this way, it's not going to fit in. So the flat part of it to the back of it, and then of course your metal probe at the top. And then we'll do our potassium.
Oh, did you put a thing in? I don't mind barbecue, so yes, I can buy that.
So they have to follow a particular order based in
Yes.
the, okay.
Yeah.
It does let you know in the manual which
Well,
order.
it's listed on the back of here.
Oh,
how it is.
again,
So you
okay,
got
yeah.
potassium, sodium.
Okay, very good. Oops, I see it somewhere. Where? Oh, yep.
Yeah, these floors are hard to find. How you squeeze it.
It's called a reference electrode. So once you know what your menu is, then you're going to set it up one time.
Right.
Brand new machine, carry it over to whatever country, and you're going to set it up once.
Well, basically, we won't set it up until we get there with it, because with all
Right.
these little parts and stuff with
Right.
it, and then get it packaged.
Sure.
But, so your reference one is just going to go with the part here where
Okay.
it says reference,
Okay,
and it does screw in.
okay.
So we're going to screw that in, but then we have this real handy dandy little tool that fits on the end of it to where you can actually tighten it
Okay.
up. You don't want to really over tighten it, but just where it's good and snug.
Finger tight.
Yeah, or maybe a little bit more than finger tight, just to where it's not going to leak out.
So when you're setting these things up, Greg, do you have the staff there, like stop everything and watch, or are they just constantly working and you're setting it up and then you can show them later?
I actually have them set it up.
Okay,
I'll go there and talk them through it. But
Okay.
there's going to be somebody there that's specific for that instrument that's going to be setting it up.
perfect, okay.
Or either, at least one of them, or either have two or three of them there working with it to set it up.
Okay, great.
In Angola, I ended up training I did about 8 different techs on it. The first one we went through directly through on it and set it up. The second one we just kind of walked through on it since I didn't take it completely apart and make them go back over it with it, but we just went through how to set it up and everything, and then start running it. So then after you do your electrode part on it, this has a filling solution, which is basically your reference solution that goes with it.
Okay.
So that needs to go into this reservoir here. It does have a fill line.
Okay.
And you need to make sure that it is always covering that reference electrode. And you want to try to make sure there's no bubbles in there, especially over top of that electrode, the reference part. We got to Egg Bay, and this was totally dry. We asked them, do you have filling solution? No, they didn't have any, so we really couldn't do anything because we didn't have
And were
filling
they
solution
running it?
to go back.
And
Well,
were
they
they
wasn't running it at the time. They were
Okay.
wanting it, they said, it's not working. Well,
That's-
it's empty.
So does that eventually evaporate and you have to keep this on hand?
And they didn't understand.
As long as you have this in it,
Uh-huh.
it
Then it ought to stay.
stays in pretty good. But
Okay.
theirs, they had also lost this part of it, so it was evaporating out.
They're
But as long as you have that plug in on it, it
Yeah.
stays there.
But I can see
fairly-
how easily that plug could be knocked off and.
Yeah, it could get knocked off pretty
Oh
easy with
my,
it.
okay.
so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of them don't do any type of troubleshooting things on it.
Yeah,
But Donna, it's not, it's the same way throughout the hospital. They call us in and say the EKG machine's not working. Well, they tried it, it didn't work. They unplugged it and shoved it in the corner,
And they leave it there.
and they leave it.
And that's
Surprising.
the mindset. It just sits. And no problem solving, reasoning, development. But it can be developed in there.
Oh, that's what I don't know. I'm sorry.
They just need someone to develop them.
So within this unit, you have all your reagents for, this is considered an 800 ml, or no, 400 ml. So these come in 4 or 800 ml packs. So this one is specifically for the sodium potassium chloride on it. Although we don't have chloride on here, it doesn't matter, it's still going to work. So this has your reagents, your calibrators, and your waste container all in this one pack.
Cool. Closed
So you
system.
load this on. Once it's through with it, you pull it off and you pitch the whole thing.
Okay.
Does it have a meter to tell you how much is
It
left?
does.
Of the thing?
What's
With
does it expire after it's
It's
been
supposed
opened
to have a 30-day on board,
on board?
I think, capacity with it. And so it just slides in here into that valve. We'll put it on there in a moment. But reference electrode. With it does have this one little dot here in the front.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that's going in over this window part here with it.
Okay.
And then it just goes up into the bottom of your chain here. It just slides in. And then we're going to put a reference for solution in here. Fill it up. It does have that fill line in here on it, like I say.
Be sure the little black dot, whoops, right there is showing through. Okay.
This part and these electrode parts here are all going to plug up down through here. Just slide. And then you can connect your sample tubing just right to the top of your probe. Right. So then your blue tubing in, then is going, and then the blue one is just directly in underneath it.
That little P probes.
Right.
The reagent pack just slides in.
So, and it doesn't fit. You think it's a diluted bleach, but we'll go
Daily
along with
cleaner.
what they say with it.
But it's their bleach.
It's their bleach, yep.
Which
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
it better.
Well, they can put their name on it and charge you more for it.
Exactly.
But this comes as a powdered solution, and so then you make it up with the diluent.
Okay.
And then it's supposed to be refrigerated, which I got this out of the fridge earlier.
And then how long it's good for once you make it up is
I think this is good. It tells you in the instructions
Insert,
for it.
probably.
I think this is good for maybe 10 to 15 days. I can't remember exactly. But we can go
Once you
ahead
turn it
and
on, let it
do
sit for
the
30 minutes.
cleaner on it, but you don't want it to cow.
yeah.
So I'm going to wait for the 30 minutes before even doing the cleaner, because sometimes it will go directly into cowing afterwards.
And it won't count. Okay.
So it's not going to cow.
All right.
So we can, Patrick, are you ready for yours?